Hi, and welcome back to this week's episode of the People Success Circle podcast. This show is where we talk about all things business, career, and the people side of the business. This episode is about networking. I'm calling it the Case for Networking, and it's the first of a 3-part series. Let's dig into the data, the stories, and the action steps that prove why networking is still the number one most powerful tool that we have. And we're going to talk about how to actually use it. I want to start with the numbers because oftentimes people think that networking is just a nice to do. But let's focus on data and results because I don't know about you, data speaks to me. In the current year, 2025, 85% of jobs are filled through networking. That's not just a trend, that is a reality. 70% of jobs are never even posted publicly. And this shocks people all the time when I say this. They refer to their employees to suggest great people or to their network. And then 80% of professionals say that networking has been essential to their career success. Let me bring this to life with 3 quick stories. When I was starting out in my career after college, I joined McDonald's Corporation in a startup capacity. They had a wholly owned subsidiary separate from the Golden Arches, separate from the restaurants. And I started there as a manager trainee and worked my way up in the organization. I was a manager trainee, assistant manager, a general manager, a district manager, and then I went into human resources. So how did I get my job in human resources if I have a marketing degree and I worked in operations? If you want to get into human resources, you have to tell everyone you meet that not only is that the desire for you, but that you want to be called on for projects and different things where you could start showing people you had that HR skill. And so I took that advice. And not only did that help me to land my first job in human resources, like I said, without a degree in human resources and with operations experience, it also helped people to remember who I was and what I stood for when really cool projects came up. They needed somebody with my experience in human resources to be part of the Olympic food service team. That meant in the 1996 Olympics, I was part of a very small team, a cross-functional team of 16 people. We lived in Atlanta for a year, and we launched the first time that McDonald's had ever been part of the Olympics. We had restaurants in the Olympic Village and at many of the venues, and my job was to recruit and staff for that. So I tell you that story because I was given that advice to make myself known and my desires known. And through the hard work and the effort that I put in, it paid off. And it really helped me to get into exactly what I wanted to do and be called upon for some really cool opportunities in my career. The next one I want to tell you about is regarding recruiting. So I have spent many years in human resources as a recruiter, and I can tell you that there are many great applicants who apply for a job. It's a fact. I mean, people who are looking for a job and actively applying, it doesn't mean they're not great candidates. Of course, there are a lot of good candidates in there, but I have had the biggest success with effective employee referral programs. When I can teach the team who is in any department, whether it's accounting, marketing, operations, it doesn't matter what it is. If I can work with the team and help them be my hands and feet out there, talking to their network, talking to their peers, and actually referring people, those are always the best hires because they know people and they know people in the company. And that helps because when you have a good employee refer another good employee, it just builds such a strong team. I personally work with a business owner often who is so successful and she's barely on social media. She talks to people everywhere she goes and she shares what she does. And so she's very strategic about having coffee with people, following up with people that she met just to get to know them, just to build a relationship with them. And to be honest, over time, in a pretty short amount of time, she is so well known in San Antonio, where I live. Her name is always brought up in rooms. And so she has been able to grow her business to multi six figures in 4 years by effective networking strategy, not running ads, not spending money on marketing, actually building relationships with people in the community where she's at. So I ask you, these are three different stories: a job seeker, a hiring manager, recruiter, and a business owner. So I just have to ask, what if your next client isn't on your website filling out the discovery form, but they're actually one conversation away through effective networking? So I want to be honest, the elephant in the room, I hear it all the time. People say, gosh, Mindy, I don't want to network. I don't want to use LinkedIn. I'm an introvert. I've heard kind of it all. And to be honest, people do avoid networking. It just seems like an extra versus part of how they do their job every day. And it doesn't have to be that way. In fact, I'm going to just bust a few of the myths real quick here. So oftentimes people say, I don't want to network because I'm introverted. So cool. To be honest, so are a lot of people. Believe it or not, I'm right on the line between introvert and extrovert. People don't really believe me, but man, I know myself, and I know I fill up by actually being alone in a quiet setting. So there are so many people out there who are introverted. And you need to know, as an introverted networker, you don't have to walk into a room of 200 people and start shouting your elevator pitch. Start with a DM. Start with virtual networking through LinkedIn or even one-on-one coffee chats. Networking should not require you to be somebody that you're not. It should help you be who you are, show people who you are, and make people want to build a relationship with you one-on-one. If you are networking as your authentic self, you shouldn't have to be somebody different. You can show up just as you are and build relationships one-on-one, because people buy from people. People hire people. And so if you can have conversation with even just one person, you don't have to be extroverted. You can do it one conversation at a time. So the next thing I hear all the time is, I don't have time for networking. I don't know how you have time for networking. How do you fit this into your day? And the truth is, in today, 2025, you actually don't need hours to network. You could use 15 minutes a week, to be honest. You could send 2 messages through email or LinkedIn. You could follow up on 1 coffee invite. You could ask somebody for a virtual coffee, which for me is no more than 30 minutes. I allot 30 minutes a week for 1 virtual coffee, and it's worth it every single time. And so I want you to know that there are different levels of networking. Like, a networking could be simply writing a note card or an email to somebody you met last week. It could be as simple as leaving somebody a text or a voicemail saying, hey, happy Thanksgiving. I hope your family's doing well. Just wanted to let you know I was thinking of you and hope we can connect soon. There's so many little tidbits that we can do that are about building relationships that aren't big and grandiose. So, oftentimes people think, gosh, networking has to be in person and it's going to take half my day. And to be honest, that's just one part of networking. Now that we have virtual networking, we can do so many quick things and get results just by building relationships, using technology, and just checking in with people and reminding them who we are and what we do. And last but not least, I hear all the time, I don't really know anyone to network. I'm not really sure where to even get started. And I want to tell you that you do know people. If you work in, let's say, marketing as a job seeker, you know other people in marketing. You actually know people in the accounting department and in the HR department. And in inventory, there's people in your organization who you know and people in past organizations you know. So you know people from work, from school, from your kids' school. that your friends, your parents' friends, your neighbors, all kinds of different pockets of people that you know. And so the whole point of networking is making a connection and building a relationship. And so I want you to know every connection counts and they all know people too. So let's say you know somebody from the gym and you get to know them and you tell them what you do. They then can represent you in a room you're not in and do the same thing. All right, some quick tips to get you started on networking. But again, this is the first in a 3-part series where I'm going to give you a lot more information. So just to give you some tips today, I want to start with job seekers. So if you're a job seeker, don't just apply online. Make sure you have a strong LinkedIn profile and you follow up with someone from the company after you've applied. Next, I want you to reconnect with people, reconnect with old colleagues, reconnect with people you went to college with, and proactively use LinkedIn to build your network so that you have more and more people in your network who can share jobs with you, who can share industry information with you, and who can mention your name if an opening comes up. And lastly, just if you're a job seeker, message 3 people a week on LinkedIn. That's it. Ask for a quick call or advice or just connect with them, because over time, the little efforts you make really, really add up. Now, if you're a recruiter, I would say focus on building your pipeline of potential candidates before you need to hire. So recruiters should be expert networkers. We can't rely on an online application. In fact, today it's so easy to hit easy apply on LinkedIn and Indeed that we get so many people who apply for jobs that aren't even qualified. So we have to go through all of that information, all those people to find a needle in a haystack. So I'm telling you to build your pipeline before you need it as a recruiter. Go to networking events, talk to your teams in all different departments, and have them be your hands and feet out there looking for great people. Also, make it a habit to connect with people weekly, even if you don't have a live opening, but you know somebody who would be awesome. If you did have a live opening, make sure you keep in touch with them. And lastly, treat every conversation as a future hire. Your antennas as a recruiter should go up anytime you're talking to somebody who you're impressed with, and you should be writing that down and keeping that information for future. So now, if you're a business owner, I'm just going to be honest. Networking is marketing. It's about making sure that you are known, and not just known by your name, but that people know what you do best. So they can mention your name when you're not there. And so if you make yourself known and you share who you are and what you do, you will build trust. And there's no marketing dollar that could be spent that is more valuable than relationships. Relationships last longer, way after the ad budget's gone away. And it can really help you build a sustainable pipeline. So again, business owners, networking, it actually is marketing. Next, if you're a business owner, I want you to show up. I want you to show up to events, whether they're online or in person. Join the chat, talk to people. You can have one-on-one conversations that are meaningful and follow up with those people to build relationships over time. And lastly, if you're a business owner, I want you to ask your clients, your peers, your friends, who do you know that might need what I offer? Because if people know what you offer and they know you, they like you, and they trust you, they are more likely to refer you. So don't make it weird, make it intentional. Actually intend to build relationships with people. And that over time will absolutely build you the network you need to get hired, to hire, and to grow your business. So networking is a life strategy for all parts of our life, including our career and our business. The future of your business or your career may actually not be in your inbox. It might be in your network. So here's the challenge I have for you. This week, I want you to reach out to just one person, someone you haven't talked to in a while. Say hi, share what you're working on, and ask them what they're up to. Networking is not about asking them for a job or asking them for their business. It's about a two-way conversation that builds trust over time. So don't jump in with the ask, just focus on connecting with one person this week that you can exchange what you're up to, chat with each other, and keep that relationship alive. Because the best doors actually do not open with a resume or a pitch, they open with a relationship. And we know we can't cram relationships. It's a marathon, not a sprint. If this episode resonated with you, see the link in the show notes so that you can join the wait list for my new program that's starting end of summer. It's called Networking School. I've done all the research to find out what keeps people from networking, what their fears are, and I am creating a membership program that will help people of all ages, of all careers, and of all backgrounds learn the art of networking because it is that important life skill. So make sure you check out the link in the show notes to learn more about Networking School and join the waitlist now. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a 5-star review because that will help more and more people see this podcast, as well as share it with a friend, like, or save it for the future. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the People Success Circle podcast. As always, keep showing up, stay curious, and remember that opportunity lives in connection, not in your inbox.